What's going on YouTube? Just gonna do a review for you guys of my Dell 27-inch monitor. It's the U2711. I'm gonna go over some tech specs real quick. As I said before, it's a 27-inch monitor with a resolution of 2560 by 1440 at 60 Hertz. It has a pixel density of 109. 2560 by 1440 versus 1080p is about a 70% increase in pixels. So there's a lot more pixels the video cards have to drive, but you get a much better picture. Anyway, it has a dynamic contrast ratio of 80,000 to 1 and an aspect ratio of 16 by 9. This monitor also supports over 1.07 billion colors. The typical power consumption is 113 watts, and that's as long as you don't have the audio or USB connections in use. The entire monitor weighs about 23 pounds. It is able to tilt, swivel, and you can adjust it up and down. However, you cannot view it vertically. As far as connectivity, you're going to have one HDMI input, two DVI-D inputs with an HDCP inputs. It has one display port, one VGA port, component video, composite video, one USB 2.0 port, four USB 2.0 port downstream, and one USB 2-port upstream, an 8-in-1 media reader, and a DC power connect for the Dell sound bar. Alright, so those are the tech specs of the U2711 Dell monitor. So I bought this monitor this past Christmas, and I decided to wait before I reviewed it. I chose the Dell because I was looking for a larger monitor, but I didn't want to give up the beautiful picture that I had with my previous 25-inch Samsung Sync Master monitor. I tried a cheap $200 LED 27-inch 1080p monitor. It was a Samsung, but I found that the picture just looked awful compared to my 25-inch monitor, which was at 1200p. I'm really glad I waited to review this, since the way I feel about this monitor today is completely different than how I felt right after I purchased it. The first time I set the monitor up, I thought that it was broken, because I was still using the DVI cable that I use with my old monitor. If you've ever seen what it looks like when you use a DVI cable on a monitor that requires a DVI-D cable or DVI dual link cable, you'll know how awful it looks. The picture just looks completely whacked out, like I'd never seen anything like it. So make sure that if you are purchasing this monitor, or you're purchasing any other monitor for that matter, that you use the provided cables. So once I remedied the DVI cable issue and got the monitor set up, I noticed that the picture seemed like really washed out and just really bad for, you know, what I paid for the monitor. I thought it would look a lot better than that. I originally thought that I had screwed the monitor up by using the wrong cable. I thought that that's what I thought that I had broke the monitor, basically. So I went into the color calibration in Windows and went through the steps and got the picture looking really good. So I was like really happy with that. But every time I turned the computer off and back on, the picture would go back to looking washed out. So this went on for, you know, a few days of me readjusting the calibration and doing it over and over again. It was really annoying me. And finally I figured out that you have to go through the NVIDIA control panel, at least if you have an NVIDIA graphics card, the NVIDIA control panel, to adjust all the colors and calibration. You can't do it through Windows like I had thought. So after I did that, like, everything looked amazing. Like, I can't even describe how sharp and beautiful the picture is on this Dell monitor. That was my second new mistake, which was, you know, trying to adjust it through Windows when you have to do it through the NVIDIA control panel. Alright guys, so now on to the review. The first thing I noticed about this monitor is how well it is made. There's really nothing about this monitor that feels cheap or flimsy, which is what you'd expect when you're spending this kind of money on a monitor, so kudos to Dell for that. What I mean by well made is basically all the various hinges and stuff move very smoothly. They don't creak or crack when you're adjusting the panel. Also, the stand is very heavy and feels very strong. I think that it's a really good looking monitor. You know, I really like you know, plain industrial kind of looking things. I really like the black and gray. Very straightforward monitor. There's no like swooping curves or unnecessary decorations. It's just, you know, a big monitor. Another thing I definitely appreciate from the this monitor is the input buttons, which are actually physical buttons rather than touch buttons or touch sensitive buttons, which is what Samsung uses, which was on my old monitor. I'm not sure if Samsung still uses those kind of touch buttons on their monitors or not, but it gets extremely irritating to use them after a while, especially when you're trying to use the monitor at night or you're trying to make some kind of adjustment in a dark room. Anyway, the menu is very easy to use, which is right there. You can adjust the brightness, contrast, access different presets, and change the source like very quickly and easily. Another thing, after long gaming sessions with this thing, because this is all I basically use this monitor for, is for gaming, the monitor does get warm. However, I never have noticed it. If I put my hand on it, I'll definitely I can feel the warmth coming from the monitor, but it's not an issue whatsoever, and it definitely was an issue with my old Samsung monitor. And so finally, the picture. I really can't say enough good things about the picture, especially the color saturation. Everything in games looks extremely vibrant and crisp. When I sit in my chair normally, I can't make out individual pixels whatsoever. The picture almost seems to pop out and has like a very immersive effect, which is very good for gaming, obviously. One of the negatives I did want to point out about this monitor, though, is the anti-glare coating, which you will see a lot of people talking about in reviews of this monitor. The anti-glare coating on it does a great job of stopping the glare, but one thing you'll notice is that when you have a white screen or something is white on your screen, it'll almost appear sparkly. It's kind of hard to describe. It's almost like you can see the RGB, the red, green, and blue on there. Unfortunately, there's not really much you can do about that. I actually saw someone tried to remove the anti-glare coating on this monitor, and it eventually ruined it after like 2 days or something because it seals something in. But anyway, this anti-glare thing is something that I got used to, and now it's at the point where I don't even notice it. You know, I also very rarely have a white screen since I just use this computer for gaming. But if you're someone who does a lot of typing or some other activity where the screen is white all the time, I mean, you're definitely going to notice it. So basically, overall, I would give this monitor a rating of 4.5 out of 5. It would definitely be 5 out of 5, but Dell definitely needs to do something about that anti-glare coating. Another thing I wanted to mention about 1440p monitors, and if you're going to be purchasing a 1440p monitor for gaming, as I am, you want to have a minimum of 2 gigabytes of VRAM in your video card. You have to consider that 1440p has nearly twice as many pixels as a 1080p monitor, which, you know, takes up a lot more space in your frame buffer. I am currently using two GTX 680s. They're both 2 gigabyte cards, and the monitor uses about 1.8 gigs of that. You know, if I'm doing like the new 3D Mark, you know, if I do the new 3D Mark, it eats all of it up. But usually on games, I'm at about 1.8 gigs, so I'm like just under. So, I mean, I would recommend if you are getting a new card or, you know, whatever, I would recommend getting 3 gigs or higher just to be safe. You can definitely squeeze by with 2 gigabytes because I am, and I get really good frame rates still, and I play pretty, you know, demanding games. So yeah, I hope this review is helpful, guys. The Dell U2711 is definitely an awesome monitor. I'm very happy with it. So yeah, stay tuned for some more videos, guys. Peace out.